Hello everyone and welcome back to the Great Book of Grudges. My name is Nathan and we're back with another Total War Warhammer video. Today we're going to have a bit of a discussion. You see, since the announcement of the Twisted and the Twilight, many people flocked to Creative Assembly's social media platforms in an effort to ask them, is this the last DLC? Where Creative Assembly have themselves confirmed that the Twisted and the Twilight is not the last DLC for Total War Warhammer 2. Meaning that there is probably at least one more DLC until we move on to Warhammer 3. I understand that this might be a bit early to discuss. However, I know some people don't follow Creative Assembly on their social media platforms, and thus might not be aware that there is potentially one last DLC left for Total War Warhammer 2. Now, the inclusion of yet another DLC makes perfect sense. A while back, Creative Assembly themselves had stated that they'd like to have each playable base game race for Warhammer 2 to have 6 playable legendary lords. With the release of the Twisted and the Twilight, of course that takes the Skaven up to 6, with the High Elves and the Lizard Men both having 6 already. This of course leaves the Dark Elves with only 5 playable legendary lords at this very moment. So it's very likely that this could mean the Dark Elves will get a new DLC. Many people have already started to speculate, could this be a Dark Elf vs Beastmen DLC, where the possibility could indeed be there. The Dark Elves don't require much work, so it would be the perfect pairing if you place them alongside the Beastmen, where the Beastmen could get the most work done for them, where a simple legendary lord and maybe a unit or two for the Dark Elves would suffice. Bear in mind once again, they don't have a lot of missing units left, unless Creative Assembly want to take inspiration from the end times, not through unique models, but through reskins, in a very similar sense to how Eltharion the Grim was implemented, where he had his own pseudo regiments of renown. That would also be dependent on what character Creative Assembly want to add in for the Dark Elves. We're not gonna go over any characters at the moment, but we do need to take into account one thing. Would Creative Assembly be able to work on another faction overhaul so close to another one already? The Wood Elves themselves have just recently got an update, and this should release very soon to the general public, and the DLC itself took, what, 7 months? Is the development time to this DLC also attributed by the fact that the Wood Elves also got such a massive change? So does this mean that we're gonna have to wait another 7 months for another DLC content drop? If that's the case, that will take us all the way to July of 2021, if of course it's another 7-month content drought. And personally, before anything, I have to stress out that these are my views and not the views of Creative Assembly. I don't think Creative Assembly wants such a long content drought once again. Instead, I have another feeling. You see, for the past few DLCs, we've seen the implementation of various vampire count minor factions. I've stated this before, Morgheim was added in a few DLC ago, and now with the patch cycle of the Twisted and the Twilight, we've seen another expansion to the far east of the map, adding in the territories known as the Silver Pinnacle, Neferata's base of operations, which could be a hint to the fact that the vampire counts themselves might be the DLC faction, Dark Elves versus Vampires. It's not that odd of a matchup. Many people weren't expecting Skaven versus Wood Elves, despite the fact that yes, they did have some minor lore between them, quite minuscule in all honesty, only a few lines. So this could indeed be possible, and could be a way to introduce maybe Neferata as a legendary lord. The reasoning for thinking that the Beastmen will be updated in the third and final game would be because they are a Chaos faction, and I suppose it could make sense to update the Beastmen alongside the Warriors of Chaos if that is indeed possible. We've seen a long development time for Total War Warhammer 3, so it could be that they could both get updated at the same time. Again, this is only speculation. However, if this is indeed a Beastmen DLC, it could be the perfect time to also introduce Boris Todbringer, seeing as he's already available in-game, has his own animations, and only really needs a few more things to make him playable, such as a few mechanics here and there and some voice lines of course, where Boris Todbringer could be the FLC Lord for this DLC, in a very similar sense to how Bertsche has been implemented, where you'll need Game 1, Game 2, and the Call of the Beastmen DLC in order to be able to properly access him. Now, I don't want to shoot down the idea of a Beastmen vs Dark Elf DLC just this moment. Of course, we have to take into account that the last two DLCs featured old world updates. Well, not last two, as one is yet to be released. The Twisted and the Twilight is updating the Wood Elves, a much needed update, whereas the Warden and the Paunch updated the Greenskins. So it's entirely possible that Creative Assembly might be thinking about updating the Beastmen. The way I see it, both Beastmen and vampire counts are strong contenders. The recent trends lead towards the Beastmen, but the supposed recent hints lean towards the vampire counts. Of course, if I have to pick, I'd have to say that I prefer the Beastmen to be updated. They are a race which is in desperate need for an update, and if you compare them next to the vampire counts, well, one obviously performs much better than the other, where it could even go as far with the vampire counts not getting a new DLC until the third and final game of the series, hopefully with the possible inclusion of Nagash. But what do you guys think now that you know there's another DLC coming? What races do you feel deserve the next spot in the sun? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below and let's start a bit of a discussion, shall we? Also, apologies if my voice sounds weird. I've been working on a lot of videos, as you can imagine, and I think I'm just kind of burnt out on this. This was a last second video, and yeah, I'm a little bit hoarse. But with that, my friends, we've come to the end of our video. Thank you so much for watching. If you did enjoy the video, might I suggest giving the video a like, or even subscribing to the channel, as it really does help us out. In the description section below are various links to different social media platforms, such as Facebook, Instagram, and Discord. Also in the description section is an affiliate link with Element Games where you could buy loads of hobby-based products, not just Warhammer, for 10 to 25% off. Making a purchase using that link and also our special code, which is also in the description, supports the channel at no extra cost to you, which we think is rather cool. A big thank you to our patrons. Your support means the world to us. It's amazing that people want to help a small channel like us grow and get to a higher level of content. A big thank you to Gibraltar LUSC, Ryan Bertsche, Andrew Prince, and Okro for subscribing to us at our Fane level. You guys are super cool. And a big thank you to Edward Yule, VS Vasan, Aaron Whitman, and Shaggy for subscribing to us at our King level. Honestly, we can't thank you all enough. And lastly, a big thank you to all of you for liking, sharing, and commenting on these videos. Honestly, it's because of you guys that the channel's been growing at such a great pace lately, so we can't thank you all enough. But with that, my friends, thank you so much for watching once again, and we shall see you all again very, very soon. Have a good day.